All right. Thanks, Lucas. I appreciate that. All right. So I don't think this class is going to be a real long class. I don't think so, but you never know. You never know what it's going to be. Let me pull it up here right quick. Where's it at? Safari desktop. Wait a minute. Wow, something happened. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Stop the share right quick. What happened? All right. And well, that's interesting. All right. I didn't see that coming. This internet is rolling slow. I'll get a couple more people coming in. Cool. All right, there you go. Let you in. All right. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Wonderful. All right. So this week's Torah portion was called Kaye Sorah. Kaye Sorah. Oh, got more people coming in. Cool. Office coming in. Awesome. And what does this mean? Well, Kaye means lives. It's interesting that they use this term lives. This Kaye means more than one. Kai by itself, everyone, means life. Okay, let me put it up here for us. Kai means life by itself. Okay, a singular life, just one life. But it says Kaye. That means in the Hebrew, there's many lives, which is pretty interesting in the Torah, because again, this is the only time that there is a record ever given of a woman's life and how many years that she lived. So what we're talking about is the lives of Sarah, right? But what does it mean? Within our Torah portion, did you find anything that mentioned different aspects of her life? No. You didn't find anything about her childhood. You didn't hear nothing about her teenage life. All we heard about her was the different experiences that she had at different moments in her life. Okay. But when the Torah breaks this out, everyone, it breaks it out in a very, not strange, but I would say a very interesting way. They break her life into segments, which they talk about 100, they talk about 20, and they talk about 7. Okay. There's 3 things that are mentioned. It's literally talking about her young, as she's a little kid, and it's talking about her middle age, and then it's talking about her older age. Okay, the older is the 100, the middle is the 20, and the 7 is the young, right? So we're getting an idea that we go through different phases in our lives, okay? And at different moments and at these different times, something happens to us where we're transitioning to be who we are, right? And we're going from one step to the next, and life for us is a process. It's about development. I think earlier last week I talked about, or probably the week before, I talked about how, Sarah was being developed as a person. And she had to graduate from being Sarai, right, to Sarah. And within that, we find that she had to go through a stage of development. I found that when I discovered that when she was in the tent and she began to laugh and she began to mock when the Most High said what he said, she started laughing within herself and saying, yeah, right. And so that came because of how she was, how she developed over all those years. Her whole life has been one of great difficulty and trouble for various reasons. So we understand that life has a way of, teaching us on what and how we're going to grow and how we're going to go through our development. What I found this week in this book called Koheleth. Koheleth in Hebrew means Ecclesiastes. Chapter number 3 says something. We've all heard it before, but I have a little bit more understanding. It says, for everything, there is a season. And this right here is not talking about like a Moedim, okay? It's not talking about one of Yah's festivals. It's literally talking about that there's a season for everything. It's their actual appointed time that you and I are going to go through. And it says it's the right time for every intention under heaven. That word intent right there is a little misleading, okay? It's a little misleading because in the Hebrew, it doesn't say attention. It actually says a delight. I don't know why this is tripping. There's a certain delight that you're going to experience in your life, okay? There's different times of delight that you're going to have. There's always going to be some type of delight under heaven. And it says at a time to be born. That seems like a time when someone would be happy. And then there's going to be a time to die. There's going to be a time to plant. And there's going to be a time to uproot. There's going to be a time to kill. And there's going to be a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. There's a time to mourn and there's a time to dance. A time to throw stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain. Is a time to search and a time to give up. There's a time to keep and a time to discard. And there's a time to tear and a time to sow. And there's a time to love and there's a time to hate. There's a time for war. And then there comes a time for peace, for shalom. Okay? But in this, you're going to be able to find a delight. This is what you and I are going to find. We're going to be able to find some type of delight in our lives. And that's what the Most High wants us to understand, is that your life, because Kai Sarai is the lives of Sarah. We are the descendants from this woman. And you and I are going to have experience in our life that is going to be like her experiences. He's sharing insight about what her life was going to be. Generally, what happens to our ancestors is going to be passed on to their descendants. And that's something that the Torah teaches. Just like the land is going to be given to the descendants of the ancestors, so is the issues and the challenges. Okay, so you're going to face this. So Yah is letting us know you need to prepare yourself for this. Okay, within that same chapter it says, what does the worker gain from his efforts? I think everyone would be interested in wanting to know, what am I going to get at the end of it all? After everything I've done, after my planting, after my building, after my sowing, after my gathering, after my babies, after my everything I've done, my career, my projects, after everything I have done, what is my gain? Right? And he says, I have seen the task. There's a work that Elohim has given to humanity to keep us occupied. Yah has done this for the purpose of keeping us busy. Okay. Often we want to not work. Often we want to be retired. Often we just want to sit back and relax. And that's not what Yah has given to us. Yah has given us a job and a task to do in order to keep us occupied. Work is going to be part of your life. So the whole thing about building, the whole thing about gathering, the whole thing about planting, the whole thing about keeping and discarding and searching and so forth, it all has to do with your work. Is what you do. Okay. And it says he has made everything beautiful in its time. Okay. Also, he has given human beings an awareness of eternity, because there is eternity. We don't quite understand it. He says, but in such a way that they can't fully comprehend from the beginning to the end the things that Elohim does. So we don't really understand everything that the Most High has done, and you never will. And you need to be okay with that, because that's not your work. Your work is to do the things that Yah has placed before us. Your task is to build. Your task is to grow. Your task is to cast away. Your task is to gather. Your task is to prosper. I know that there's nothing better for them to do than to rejoice and to do good as long as they live. That is what our mandate is. That's your reward for your efforts, is to rejoice. You should rejoice in the things that you've taken time to invest in and to build, like your family, your house, your career, all those things. But it's to do good as long as you live. See, that's what Yah has done for us. He says, still the fact that everyone can eat and drink and enjoy the good that results from all his work is a gift. Everything that you and I are going through, whether it is to build and to tear down, it's a gift. You have the ability to do such a thing, okay? And for whatever reason, we've been given another set of instructions to make us think that we have to do something other than what we are supposed to do, which is to enjoy our lives and the good that results from all of our work. You should be proud at the end of 6 days of all the work that you have done and all the time that you invested. If you're not, then you got to go back and reassess and look at how you could have made things better. So for the last 6 days that you've been doing something, you should reflect upon that work. That's why the Most High has given the Shabbat to us. Just like for himself, after the 6 days of work that he did, he looked back and he saw everything he did, that it was good. And so could you and I say the same thing? Because your work and could your efforts and all those things over the last 6 days, did you eat, drink, and had good? Were you rejoicing? Or were you miserable? Or were you hateful? Or were you depressed? Were you angry? Were you belligerent? What were you doing over the last 6 days? Your task is to work. Your task is to find a way to be happy. Your task is to, when you do your meal preps and you prepare your meals on the day that you're having your 6 days and that you can do those things, you should find some joy in those things. Because he says, I know that whatever Elohim does will last forever. No matter what you and I want to see about eternity, you and I will not fully understand it. What is what it is. There's nothing that can be added or subtracted from what Yah has done. Elohim has done it so people would fear him. Yah has said everything the way that he said it so you and I could fear him. And to understand that there's things about Yah that we just won't never know. We can't find out everything we can find out about Yah through a book. You're not going to find everything you need to find out from Yah from reading your Torah portion. You're not going to find it out. You're not. That which is here already and that which will be has already been. Elohim seeks out what people chase after, meaning that he examines our work. He judges what we've done. That's what he talks about. He's seeking out. What Yah needs to seek out what we're doing? No, Yah examines what we're chasing. He, just like you should look at the work that you've done over the last 6 days, Yah is looking at the work that you've done over the last 6 days. And he's also looking to see what you're going to do on the Shabbat. Whether or not you're going to set it apart is quite a show, meaning that you know that it's set apart from all other days. How is this day any different than any other day that you've had over the last 6 days? Are you bringing what you did over the last 6 days, whether you're comparing what you've done to the Shabbat? No, the Shabbat is set apart. It's a time for us to reflect back on what we've done. Don't bring what you've done in the last 6 days into the Shabbat. It's still set apart. It's still a time of reflection, not for you to say, well, let me fix what I messed up in the 6 days. Not today. Not today. Your joy is not in today is not found in what you did for the last 6 days. Your joy for today is a day that you've rested from the 6 days that you did do. and that you can look at and say, okay, well, I did this. Was it all good? No, but today is a day that I can celebrate because this is a day that Yah has made for me. When we talk about the life of Sarah, her life was one of being mocked. Her name was first called Sarai, to be mocked. How was she mocked? Somebody tell me.
Inability to have a child.
Inability to have a child. Was she mocked by her servant girl? Did Hagar mock her? Yeah, she did. She got out of line with her. Were there conversations from other people? Do you think perhaps? Yes. As you stated, Lucas, she was barren. And that was to be disgraceful for a woman who was not able to bring forth a child. She was barren in her works, right? The whole life that she was barren until she had an encounter with Yah. She was taken captive. How many times? How many kings took her?
Who? Twice?
2 kings, the king of Mizraim and the king of Gerar from the Philistine, Abimelech. They took her because of her Yafeh. They took her because of her beauty. This is a Hebrew word for beauty. It's called Yafeh. Yafeh. Just how beautiful she was. She was an extraordinary woman. She was a very beautiful woman. Literally to kill for, no pun intended. That's how beautiful she was. Beautiful. She got kidnapped when she was 65 years old. She was a 65-year-old woman that got kidnapped and brought into Mitzrayim, into the house of Pharaoh. Later on, she got kidnapped again. She's in her 70s, and she gets kidnapped again. That's how beautiful and how fine this woman was. Okay. She had an encounter with the Most High, and the Most High said that I want to change her from being a mockery to change her to be a princess. I want her to become a princess to me. Okay. This is what I want. I want you to look at her life, and then we're going to make some comparisons about what's going to happen to the descendants that came out of her. Okay. So she's mocked at first. She's mocked. She's made fun of. She's barren. She doesn't have anything to look at after all of her work of her life. Nothing. She has nothing to really, to be proud of. And then she's taken captive. Who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? Who's been taken captive? The children of Israel. Who has been mocked by the nations? The children of Israel. Who's been barren? They haven't brought forth no fruit. They said, all the work that we've done, there's nothing that we can look at. The children of Israel. Who's beautiful? Who's Yahweh? The children of Israel. Yah has married the children of Israel. He says that I've been a husband to you. And Yah is a king, and he's looking for a princess. So he has to elevate the one who is mocked, the one who is barren, the one who is captive. He has to, and the one who's beautiful has to become a princess. Sarah said, Elohim has given me good reason to laugh. This is after her elevation. Now everyone who hears about it will laugh with me, not against me, not at me. They're going to laugh with me. So what Yah did was he gave her laughter. He not only gave them laughter, she was laughing now after her long life of being mocked and being mistreated and being taken captive and being separated from her husband. Yah gives her a laugh. He puts a laugh in her mouth, and she said, who would have said to Avraham that Sarah would nurse children? Nevertheless, I have borne to him a son in his old age. The question is who? Was there any man that could say this to her, or any woman, any human being? No. The only one who could ever say something like this, something as wonderful as like this, is the Most High Yah. The only one who can bring laughter to us after all that we've gone through is the Most High Yah. So we need to remember that about her life. Okay. He says, listen, this is what Yah says in the book of Yashayahu. He says, listen to me, you who pursuers of righteousness, you who seek Yahweh, consider the rock from which you were cut, the quarry from which you were dug. Consider Avraham your father and Sarah, who gave birth to you, in that I called him when he was only one person and then blessed him and made him many. Why is he saying the pursuers of righteousness? Yah is saying those who are pursuing righteousness, they're going to be the ones who are going to understand the life of not only our Father, you're going to understand the quarry that you were dug from. The quarry is a place of like a pit, okay? On a hole that you have to go and you have to excavate. You have to go and you have to search for something. The Most High is telling us that, listen, righteousness can only come from excavation. Righteousness can only come from something like your mother Sarah and your father Avraham. That's the only righteousness can come through the individuals who come from this family. This is the reason why he says that you are pursuers of righteousness. If you're pursuers of righteousness, you're going to live like your father Avraham, and you're going to remember your mother Sarah. You're going to live like her. Avraham was known as a prince. In our Torah portion, they called him a prince. Said they called him a prince of Elohim. Our mother is called a princess. You see? So what we're talking about is a family of nobility. The people that are going to be living the right way and living their lives the way that the Most High wants are the ones who are going to always pursue righteousness, like our ancestors did. You have to be on that page, okay? Ultimately, she ended up becoming a queen. She became a queen. She was a queen to Hagar. The Malach said, go back to your mistress, and mistress is called a lady or a queen. That's who she is. She's a queen. That's what Sarah is. We come to the part of our Torah portion that said, but Abraham was old. He was advanced in years. I put right here this in italics because I wanted to bring out the point that when it talks about him being advanced in years, it doesn't say that in Hebrew. It said that he became perfect in his, not years, but in his days. So he became perfect in his days. Again, with the idea of a process. He became perfect in his days. He came into his days and he was perfect, and Yahweh has blessed Abraham in everything. Everything. Abraham said to the servant who had served him the longest, who was in charge of all he owned, put your hand under my thigh because I want you to swear by Yahweh, the Elohim of heaven and the Elohim of the earth. Not two different Elohims. There's a reason why he mentions the Elohim of heaven and the one he mentions Elohim of the earth separate, which I'm going to go to in just a moment. That will not choose a wife for my son from among the women of the Ka'anani, among whom I am living, but you will go to my homeland, to my kinsmen, to choose a wife for my son Yitzchak. The reason why he asked him to swear by the Elohim of heaven is clearly to make a distinction that we're talking about the majesty of the Most High in the heavens. He's the Elohim of the heavens, okay? The Most High is above the heavens. Yah is not in the heaven. He's above the heavens. The heavens are something that was made by Yah. Okay? The sun was made by Yah. It just didn't appear. The Most High made it. He spoke it, and it came into being. The stars, they were made by the Most High. The winds, the clouds were made by the Most High. See? So he is the Elohim of it. He's in control of this, and he's also the one in control of the earth and everything that's going on down on the earth, because he made everything in the earth. See? So he's making a distinction there so he wouldn't get confused. Okay? And Yah doesn't want us to get confused. It says, don't pick a wife from among the women of the Ka'anani. The reason why he doesn't want the women from the Ka'anani is simply because the moral degradation is something we want to talk about today. Moral degradation. These people were a people that were over-sexualized. These people were having sexual intercourse with animals. These people didn't have what you would say, a filter. These people would respond and do whatever they felt like doing when they felt like doing it. These people were corrupt, and they could not maintain a certain level of intelligence. Their whole entire community was putrefied by the way that they lived and by their actions and by the things that they did. And so when you have this among your community, it starts tearing down the moral fiber of the community. And so what he's saying is, I don't want my family to be part of this. I don't want them to be part of my family, because he has a mission that he has to do. It says, Yahweh said to Moshe, speak to the sons of Israel and tell them, I am Yahweh your Elohim. You are not to engage in the activities found in the land of Mizraim, where you used to live, and you are not to engage in the activities found in the land of Canaan, where I'm bringing you, nor are you to live by their laws. If you read this chapter, they tell you everything that they were doing. They were sleeping with their relatives, their sons and mothers, and they were just doing a lot of filthy things. A lot of it was based on sexual activity. And he's like, I don't want any of that in my family. I don't want any perversion. I don't want any corruption in my family. Because corruption, once it starts, is going to continue to go down and down and down. And what he's concerned with is the seed. He doesn't want the seed to be corrupted. He says, do not make any covenant with them. This is what the Most High said. With who? With the Kananis, the Girgashis, the Kiwi, none of them. The same people that Avraham bought his land from in order to have a burial place for his wife is the same place that he said, I don't want you to have no covenant with these people. None. Okay. He says, show them no mercy. Don't intermarry with them. Don't give your daughters to his son, and don't take your daughter for your son, his daughter for your son. For he, who? The Kanaani. He will turn your son from following me in order to serve their gods. Question, why did he say that he's going to turn your son and not your daughter? Think about that. Why does he say that he's going to turn your son? Why not the daughter? Why did you say he's going to turn your son from following me? Any ideas?
That's the control of the future seed.
Yes, because the son is the one. Okay, so the father of the household is the one who determines what God you're going to serve. The father determines what God you're going to serve. The father is the head of that family. He's the shot caller. He's the one who makes all the decisions. See? And so the son, he's going to be influenced by this father. And so the father's going to turn the son over to following his God, because he knows that the son is after his daughter and he wants to appease this man. So he's going to do whatever he's going to tell him to do. Like my son. My son is willing to be with a Muslim woman, and he's willing to kiss the foot of a Muslim man because of the woman that he's interested in. My son has abandoned the Most High Yah to go serve another God. Just telling you, it happens. And this is what Yah is saying. Don't give your son and don't give your daughter to these people. Yes, Claudia.
Also, I just wanted to add, could it be that women seem to be very influential on their husbands? I guess when a man loves a woman very much, it's pretty easy for him to, to be influenced by the woman. I think so.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point, because that's 100% true. He is going to be influenced by her. He wants to make her happy. He's all goo goo gaga. He's going to do whatever he needs to do. Right? So he's saying that if you give your son and your daughter to these people, they're going to turn them from following me. following my ways. If this happens, the anger of Yahweh is going to flare up against you. And he will quickly destroy you. Why? Because you're the one who advocated it. You're the one who said, okay, I want this to happen, because you're not really getting an understanding about the royal seed. Yah doesn't want his seed to be spread to all these different nations and all these different people. Has it happened? Yes. But what is he saying? Don't let your daughter marry somebody that doesn't serve me. Don't. Because he's going to rule over your daughter, and he's going to tell your daughter, I will never approve a man who doesn't follow my God. And neither should you. If anybody wants to marry your daughters, you have daughters, don't let them marry your daughter if they don't serve the Most High. Otherwise, the Most High's anger will flare up against you. See, and we think, well, it doesn't apply because we're in exile. So, surely that's not going to happen. No, if this happens, everyone, the mission will be compromised. You and I are on a mission, right? We're on a mission. So if there's a break in the family and there's a break in the seed, you've just compromised the mission. Avraham has asked his servant to go find a wife for his son because he wants to fulfill his mission. The mission is to have a group of people that are righteous, that serve the Most High, and to declare to the world that there's only one Elohim. And these are his ways, and these are his judgments, and he's the creator of all things. If you and I give our sons and our daughters over to these other nations and these other people, then the mission is going to be compromised. The mission has been aborted. And Yah is saying, well, you didn't follow what your father Abraham did. Remember, he said that he's going to teach his children and his household to guard the path of Yahweh. See? So when someone goes outside of that, the mission is compromised. It's not, listen, this is not a religious game that you and I are playing. This is the facts. It happens through marriage. It happens through who you're connected to. It happens to the people that you're associated with. It happens to the people that you stay connected with. The servant replies, suppose the woman isn't willing to follow me to this land. Must I then bring your son back to the land from which you came? Abraham said to him, see to it that you don't bring my son back there. Yahweh, the Elohim of heaven, see that? Took me away from my father's house and away from the land I was born in, who spoke to me and swore to me, I will give this land to your descendants. He will send his Malach ahead of you, and you are to bring a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is unwilling to follow you, then you are to be released from the obligation under my oath. Just don't bring my son back there. So what Abraham is trying to do is ensure that, guess what? This is not going to be the reason why you're going to mess up the mission. The mission is to go back to the land. The promise is to get the land. The Most High told Abraham, I swore that I'm going to give you this land to you and your descendants. See? So in order for this to happen, you're going to need somebody that's going to be willing to follow you back to this promise. You see? So we can learn from this. This word willing is called ava. I don't have it up here from the Hebrew, but it means that there's a void. Okay? This is what it means. It means a void. A V-O-I-D. Okay? And what's a void? A void is found in a box. Okay? That's the concrete. The abstract is to be void. There's nothing in this box. Okay? So then what do you have to do in order to take care of the void? What do you got to do? You got to put something in the box. So you have to fill it. Okay? So someone who's willing is somebody to say, I'm willing, okay, to fill the void. There was a void in Yitzchak's life. Why? Because he just lost his mother. He lost his mother. He was sad. There was an emptiness in him. Okay? So what their mission is we got to find somebody that's willing to fill this void. This man is going to need somebody in his life that's going to help him to fill the void. Okay? There's in this box, you need organization. Put something in the box in Hebrew, you need or, you need light in order to organize it. So we need some light so you can see how things go. So we need to bring light to this situation. So, but one thing that you need is what they call desire. If you don't have a desire to do this, then there's no reason for you to do anything. See? So everything for us has to do with desire. And it's not just for about this woman, it's about everybody's mission. For us is we have to become a people who are driven by a desire to fill the void. We should have a desire to want to accomplish what Yah has promised for our fathers and for our mothers. That's why he says, listen to me, you pursuers of righteousness. Where is our desire to feel that? Where is it? Is it only found on the Shabbat? Is it only found when you're reading the Torah? Where is it? Are you looking for ways to fulfill this and have the desire to fill the void that needs to be filled? How about for the world? You don't understand your mission. You got to understand your mission. You have to understand what it's going to have to take, and it's going to have to take desire, and it's going to have to take a willingness from us. And because of this, we're going to have compatibility. Just like the Most High is looking to have someone connected to him, they have to be compatible. Two people can't be together if there's no compatibility. This is the reason why Avraham said, don't have my son with none of these women here. I don't want, there's nothing there. There's nothing about their lives. There's nothing how they live. It's not their customs. I don't want to have any, there's no compatibility. It won't work. You understand? Compatibility is the idea of something working well together. Two people working together. Well, not just on and then we're off and then we're on and we're off and then we're on and we're off. No. How would you like to turn on a television and every time you turn the channel, they cut off? That wouldn't be an enjoyable experience for you. Compatibility is key. Because if there's no compatibility, there won't be no connection. There won't be no link. Okay? When you have a link between something or someone, they have to be similar in order for it to function well. You see? So connection, compatibility is part of it, and also character. And this is what Abraham was concerned with. And this is something, as his descendants, you and I need to be concerned with. Compatibility. Remember, we read earlier this week that Yah says that you want to be like the nations. You think that you're going to be compatible with them. You're so desperate for a connection with them that you're willing to compromise the mission. Yah's concerned with our character. What are we like? Are we complementary? Not that, hey, let me give you a compliment. No, he's saying that you would make something complete so it can function. How could this woman complement Yitzchak? How could she complement the family of Avraham? How could she complement the mission that Yah has planned and intended for Abraham's family? Which you and I are part of that family. We're part of that mission. You see? So we need people that are compatible. We need someone who can make a connection. We need someone who's going to complement us. Otherwise, you and I are going to have nothing but conflict. That's all you're going to have. And again, this is another way to stop progress, because there's some compatibility issues. So you don't get to go any further in life because you have all this conflict now. The green wire doesn't match with the red wire. You see, the 120 volt versus the 220 don't go together. There's no connection. You want it to work. It wasn't because, listen, you can have two people who are greatly intelligent and smart and beautiful, but there might be some compatibility issues. So it's not based upon how smart someone is. It's not based upon how beautiful they look. It's not based upon any of that. It's whether or not they work well together. And it's obvious that, hey, if we're not complimenting each other and there's no connection, then there's definitely going to be conflict. See, and this has to do with our relationship with not with each other, but also too with businesses and other people. This has to do with our relationship with the Most High. Yah is looking for us to be compatible with him. This is why he says, "You kiyam kadoshata." You are a people that are set apart for me. You are a holy people to Yahweh. You are a segula. You are a treasure to me. So there's certain things about us that, in order for us to make our connection, you are going to have to be a certain way. We have to have a certain type of character. We're going to have to be able to complement Yah's plan. You understand? And therefore, there cannot be any conflict between us and him, because conflict leads to confusion. That means a lack of understanding, where you really don't understand what's going on. You're confused about what the plan is. You don't even know what the mission is. And because there's so much going on, we're not able to have progress, which leads to our idea of chaos. It's important for us to find the right people in our lives, the right type of business that we're in, the right environment for us to be part of. Therefore, we can avoid these things. But more so, all these attributes right here has to deal with Yah. Yah's not going to accept us if you and I are in constant conflict with him. He's not going to accept us if we're confused about what the mission is. This is where learning takes its place. Yah is not going to accept us while we're in chaos. You're not going to bring chaos to Yah's family. It's not going to happen. He said, "Yahweh Elohim of my master Avraham, please let me succeed." This is what the servant Elazar said to Yahweh. He said, "Yahweh Elohim of my master, please let me succeed today and show your kindness and faithfulness to my master Avraham. Here I am standing by the spring. As the daughters of the townsfolk come out to draw water, I will say to one of these girls, or one of the girls, 'Please lower your jug so I can drink.' If she answers, 'Yes, drink, and I will water your camels as well,' then let her be the one you intend for your servant Yitzchak. This is how I will know that you have shown chesed to my master." I put a Hebrew word in here called chesed, and I'm going to give you a definition of that in just a moment. What we need to understand is that this servant right here, we're going to learn a lot from him, okay? This servant is talking to the Most High, okay? And talking to the Most High, or speaking to the Most High, is called what? Prayer. He's praying. He's praying. He's not on his knees. He's standing there and he's praying. He's just talking to Yah. He asked the Most High, he says, "Please let me succeed." What that word right there in Hebrew doesn't say succeed. It still has nothing to do with success in a way. What he's talking about is what he wanted was what they call an encounter. The last time I taught this lesson, I talked about our appointment, that we're appointed to be chosen for Yah. This is about this servant wanting to have an encounter with Yah. If you notice, he said, "Yahweh Elohim of my master, Avraham." The servant never called Yah his Elohim. He said, "You're the Elohim of my master." And what he wanted was to have an encounter with Yah. I want you to show kindness and faithfulness to my master. He's not asking this for himself. He's asking Yah to show himself and have an encounter with him, and thus by showing kindness and faithfulness to his master. He says, "Here I am, I'm standing by the spring," right? So Yah has chosen to use this servant in order to bring him to having an encounter with Yah himself. Avraham has already had an encounter with the Most High on several occasions. He said, the Most High is going to send his messenger before his face. He's going to send a malach So I'm already confident in that. So this whole Torah portion was about this servant having his own encounter with the Most High. Okay. And what he wanted for his master is he wanted chesed. He wanted him to show kindness and faithfulness to his master. Okay. That's what he wanted. That was the goal. Okay. That he wanted to see. Okay. And he says that the one that you intend, of course, I went over this last time. This one is adjudicated, meaning the one that you judged to be the one that you want for Yitzchak. You can watch my tape on the life of Sarah on my last one last year. And it talks more about this, about judging and how he used his hand to guide. But today I want to focus on the chesed. I want to focus on the kindness and the faithfulness of Yah, because that's what he's after. He wants to encounter, and the only way he's going to have this encounter with the Most High is by seeing this. Okay, and there's a reason why he's asking for the kindness and the faithfulness. Okay, and guess who's being used to prove Yahweh's kindness and faithfulness? Somebody tell me, who is the Most High going to use to prove that Yah is kind and that Yah is faithful? What's her name? What is the name of the young woman? You read your Torah portion this week, didn't you? Yah is going to use this young woman by the name of Rivqah in order to have an encounter, so he would know that Yah is kind and that Yah is faithful. Never saw this before. And there's a reason why he's asking for this. And I want to show it to you. Let's not forget that this is the purpose of chapter number 24, is for him to have an encounter. It's not only about Yitzchak. It's not only about that. That's just the means in which Yah is using. Okay. Here it says, don't get intimidated by the language. You're going to learn it. Trust me. Okay. Wayomer Yahweh Elohei Adoni. This is what he said. And he said, Yahweh the Elohei, the Elohim of my master, Avraham. Let me put it up here right quick. And he said, Yahweh, the Elohei of my master, Avraham. This is what he said. Im Yeshka, na the Matzaliach, the Darki, the Asherah, the Noki, the Holek, the Aleha. What is he saying? I'm going to tell you what he's saying. This man has asked for Yah to make his trip successful, but it was something about the way he asked it. He asked this question, which I never saw before. He says, if you exist, right? If you exist, have me succeed on my path in which you have me walk upon. If you are, if you exist, if you're really a being, if you really are a substance and you exist, if that's true, if that's yesh, then let me have this encounter with you. Let this happen. So obviously, guess what? The servant, he didn't know Yah like Avraham knew Yah. You understand? The only way that you and I are ever going to fully understand who Yah is if you ever were honest to say that I want to have an encounter with Yah. If you ever want to have a true encounter with the Most High. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself. I want you to ask the question, have you ever had an encounter with the Most High? Have you ever had an encounter with him? I ain't talking about you prayed and you cried and said you were sorry about your sins. Have you ever been honest to say, if you exist, I want you to prove yourself to me by something that you can show me? Does Yah want you to walk around aimlessly and just believing? Or does he want you to know? Which one? Somebody answer that. What does he want you to know, or does he want you to believe?
Definitely the latter. And
I
definitely.
want you to know me. He never said to believe me. He said, I want you to know me. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to know me. So this servant, when he was talking to everyone, he was asking Yah, he says, listen, I want to know. I mean, this one right here is in chapter 24, verse 12 through 14. That's his first prayer. Then he goes in chapter 24, verse 42. This is when he's talking to that family, and he's giving you some insight about why he asked the Most High that he did, for Kased, and he asked him to show me and to give me some, if you really exist, and let this be what it is. Because he's given an account to the family of how he had this encounter with Rivqah and how that came about. So he's explaining to them, but he's sharing Yahweh with this idolatrous family, by the way. This family doesn't know Yah. That's the reason why the brother and the fathers, when he mentioned it to them, he said, we can't say neither good or bad. If it's from Yahweh, we can't see neither good or bad, because they're already an idolatrous family. You see? So he's pulling her out of an idolatrous family, but the only way you can pull someone out of an idolatrous family is you're going to have to come in Yahweh's name. You're going to have to show that you have an encounter with Yah, a relationship with Yah, something meaningful. And that only happened through prayer. And through his prayer, he got introduced to this young woman called Rivqah. She's the first woman that he encountered at that water place. Again, the one that Most High pushed her there. Okay? He pushed Rivqah there. With the palm of his hand, he led her to there. She was the first woman that came out. And it was at the evening time. It was at a certain time. Remember, it's always about timing. So Rivqah was also what they would call Tovath. I had Sarai as being Yafeh, meaning that she was beautiful. This one is called Tovath. And Tovath means that she was beautiful too, but it was in a different way. Okay? This means that she was Tovath. This means that she was really functional. Everything about her, not just her appearance, just the way her body was shaped, just the way she was moving. He said that she was Tovath. She was really good. She was pleasing. Okay? And so you say, well, this is just for a woman, right? It's giving us the attributes of this woman. Yah is telling us, this is what I'm looking for you, from you. If I'm looking for someone to be compatible with and have a relationship with, and for me to be their master, I'm looking for somebody that's going to be like her. You got to be like her. That's who you got to be like. You got to be like Avraham. You got to be like Yitzchak. You got to be like Sarah. You got to be like Rivqah. You got to be like Yaakov. See, we want to talk about what our fathers have done, but it's our mothers who are just important, because our mothers are the building blocks of our family. Without them, we would not exist. So Rivqah was Tovath. She was functional. You and I are going to have to be functional if we're going to be compatible with Yah. She was unknown, meaning that it said that she was a virgin, and then it says, and no man knew her, and no man knew her. In the Hebrew text, it doesn't say that she was a virgin because she didn't know a man. It would have said yada, lo yada, an ish. It didn't say that. And it says, and a why ish lo yada, meaning that she was unknown to a man, meaning that the way that she lived her life was, as she was beautiful, she was functional, she was good, pleasing to look at, but she was so different that when men looked at her, they didn't even approach her. They didn't even approach her. They weren't even like making jokes with her. They weren't even trying to get to know her. They were intimidated by her. Like if we talk to her, we got to not only come with some game, we literally got to come with more than game. We really got to come with something that's meaningful and has to be substantive. But these men didn't know her. So nobody had a relationship with her. Okay. Because of her character. Her name is her character. Okay. Rivqah literally means to ensnare. Okay. So people are captivated by her. Her name means fetters, which could be a negative thing, but also too, they're ensnared by her. Okay. And we'll learn later on in our Torah portions that she too was taken by another king. Or was going to be taken. Okay. So Yitzchak is saying she's my sister. Okay. So again, she's faced with the same type of situation, because they understand that when people see women like this, they want them. because they're very, very valuable. But to be ensnared by her is being ensnared by her character. And Yah's trying to get us to understand that when I bring my people out and I have you as a representative of me, then you're going to have to be a certain way. And your character, you're going to have to be attentive. You're going to have to be attentive. She was attentive. Okay. That means that she had some perception. She saw a situation. When he asked her for water, she gave him the water. But she also saw the need of the camels. She had 10 camels. Each of them hold about 20 gallons apiece. That's 200 gallons. She kept filling the water over and over and over and over and over and over again. She saw a need and she filled it. She was willing to go all the way. Okay. She was kind-hearted. This is what Rivqah is. This is what Rivqah is. It's not what she should be. This is who she is. She's kind-hearted. She's compassionate. She's delicate. She's graceful. She's gentle. She's very caring. You understand? Anybody who cares for their animals, the Most High said a person who cares for their animals is a wise person. They're a loving person. You can't have love for humanity and not love a creation that Yah has made. Neither could you love your cat or dog more than you love a human, like some people do. Okay? This woman was kind-hearted. She had this idea of, she was so willing, you know, and this is what was demonstrative by everything that she was doing. Isn't this what Avraham was looking for when he said, what the servant said to Avraham, perhaps maybe, what if she's not willing? What if she's not avah? What if she's not willing to fill the void? What if she's not willing to fill the need? What if she doesn't have the desire? Then he says, you don't want her. Don't worry about it. But that was demonstrated by what she was doing. So what we can learn from this is that you and I, you know who we are by what we do. It's not what you look like, it's what you do. It's not only what you say, it's what you do. You don't prove your willingness by doing a whole bunch of chatter and talking. You don't pull your kind-heartedness by, just by what you say. You have to actively be involved. One of the greatest things that I found about her, and I found in our Torah portion, is about this idea of being respectful. You see it with Avraham. You saw the respect that he had for the people of the Kiti. You saw that. When they said something to him about him giving them the grave, he bowed his head and he prostrated himself to those people, to all the men that were sitting at the gate of the city. He showed them respect because he was a man of honor. He was a man of nobility. He was a man of power. He's a man of skill, a man of wisdom, a man of hospitality. And so if he's looking for a woman to his son and to bring into the family, that individual, whether it be a son or daughter, is going to have to be the same way that the father's expectations are. Respectful. You see? That's what it is. She was respectful. She saw this man and called him her master. He was just a servant to Avraham. She called him Adoni, my master. Respectful. See? Worthy based on something. Okay? Most High is looking for us to be respectful. She was a very complete person. And that's what you and I are after. And that's what you and I should be pursuing, is to have the character and the traits of this woman, Rivqah. Okay? Because ultimately what it has to do is being faithful in your service. Everything that she did was service. Giving him a drink, going back, giving to the camels, going back and back and back and back and back. And it's all about service. Saying, hey, you can come and there's plenty of food for the camels and everything and your men, and you guys could do this and that. She's faithful the whole time. There wasn't a break or a breach in her service. So what Yah is telling us is, listen, just like I'm giving you the story about this woman and what she was like, that's what I'm looking for. When he said the one that you intended, the one that you judged, the one that you adjudicated for us is the one that you chose for Yitzchak, right? To make him happy because his name means laughter. Yah is telling us today that guess what? You're going to have to be faithful in your service. Your character is going to have to match that of your families, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their wives, your mothers. If it's not like that, then you can forget it. You can hang it up. So there can't be a break in service. They can't. And what I mean is, it's not that you're never going to get sick or you're never going to feel, you're going to feel uppy and high all the time and you're ready to do everything. I'm not saying that. Faithfulness comes by a mindset that you're being consistent in who you are in a delivery of your service. Okay. So it's not saying that you want to have challenges. It means that you have to be consistent, right? So the Most High is looking for us to be faithful in our service. This is the reason why he's giving us these examples. What I found in the Torah portion is that after every time this man had an experience with the Most High, he bowed his head and he prostrated himself before Yahweh. Okay. This idea to bow one's head is to show respect. Okay. And when it talks about he bowed his head, sometimes you can nod your head down and sometimes you can bend your body down halfway. You see what I'm saying? So you can be standing up like this and then all of a sudden you bend and you bend your body down to like right here. And here's your head. That's bending. And I think too in the some different cultures, how far you bend determines how much respect you're showing. Okay. So you could go from here to just come like right here, and then you can bend your head right here. And then also to the prostrate is you're coming all the way down. And you're putting your head all the way to the ground. Okay. So what I've found in the Torah portion and in the Haftarah is this idea of this happening. And I've never seen this before. Okay. And it says, and then he blessed Yahweh, the Elohim of my master. You hear him keep saying, I blessed be Yahweh, the Elohim of my master, who has not abandoned his faithful chesed, meaning his faithful compassion and mercy towards my master. Because why? Because Yahweh has guided me to the house of my master's kinsman. So this is what he's saying after he saw this woman and he had an encounter with her. So now he's encountering Yah's faithfulness. And the faithfulness of Yah is found in the life of this woman, Rivqah. She is the object of the kindness that Yah has guided him to see. He needed to see this. He needed to see her, not just the outside. He needed to test to find out, is she the one? Is she the one that I'm going to be compatible? Is going to be compatible for my master? Is she going to be the one that's going to be pleasing? Is she going to be the one? And the only way that you can find that out is by putting someone to the test and finding out. And he said, Yah guided me here, like his master said. As you can see, I have all these different scriptures up here, and they talk about that same word, Wayish takawu, right? Which means to bow. So in Genesis chapter number 23, which is our Torah portion, all the way to chapter number 24 is our Torah portion. These are all the different times that it said that they bow down and worship and prostrated, right? Showing respect. So to the men of the city, and here to Yah. That's there, right? Your Haftarah. Same thing, prostrated, did obeisance. Showing a high regard, highly respect, right? That they bowed here in 1 Kings. As part of your Haftarah. You guys, what happened in your Haftarah? King David and his son, tell me.
He assumed leadership.
Right. So King David, he had a son. The name of his son was called Adonijah. Okay. My master is Yah. That's what his son is, Adonijah. Okay. Or Adonijah. Adonijah means Yah is my master. Okay. Is my master. Okay. King David was older. He came into his age, just like Avraham did. Avraham is looking for a wife for his son. King David, they're looking for a young woman to keep him warm at night. He doesn't know this woman. She's a Bethulah, just like Rivqah is. Okay. Her name is Avishag. Means that my father is a wanderer. So they found her. She's a Humanite woman. David didn't have any sexual relationship with her or nothing. As she's sitting there warming him up and keeping him warm because he became very thin, like he mentions in the Psalms, he needs somebody to keep him warm. So he probably was anemic. You know, he had he's just cold all the time. So he used the heat of her body to keep him warm, and she would do other things like take care of him, so forth and so on. Well, while he's going through his situation, this son right here decides that he's going to proclaim himself to be a king without David's knowledge. Okay. Yah is my master. If Yah was his master, he would have never done that. He wouldn't have presumed that. He would have not made that presumption, meaning that he went out of his bounds. He didn't have any respect for his father. Okay, he took it upon himself. And the reason why he didn't have any respect, yes, Lucas.
Sorry, I'm just curious why, with so many people who follow the character of their name almost as a life path, how did that even happen?
I'm going to tell you. I was just about to answer that. The life path that you're talking about is it says in the Haftarah. Let me do right here quick. Get out of here. What it says in the Haftarah is that David did not correct his son. This kid was always like this, but David, he never checked his son. He never disciplined his son. He's a beautiful kid. His brother was Absalom. He was very handsome and everything, but David never corrected him. Anything he did, David never said anything to him. So what the problem is, like you just mentioned, Lucas, is when you're on your life path, because we're talking about the life of Kayai Sarai, what we're talking about is our life, and what we're talking about is what has to happen in our life. When you're not corrected in your life, you then could become the opposite of what your name is supposed to mean. You'll become the opposite. Adonaiah did not become Yah as my master. What he was becoming is he reversed it and said, I'm a master of my own fate. Yah didn't become his master, he became his own master. He made his own decisions. He went out of bounds. He lost respect for the position. He lost respect for his father. And that's his father's fault. Because his father didn't have the courage to tell him that, no, you're wrong, and I'm going to correct you. When you don't correct your kids, that's your problem. They grow up and they disrespect you. That's your problem. You see, because you didn't have the courage to demand the respect and let it fall wherever it happens. You see? So this is what happened. And what this is about, everyone, in the Torah portion was about, and you said, well, how does the Haftarah, because remember I told you the Haftarah has to connect to the Torah portion. So in our Haftarah, it's about respect. In our Torah portion, it's about respect. In our Torah portion, it's about an oath, which Avraham told his servant to swear. Well, here, Bathsheba comes to King David and says, you swore an oath to me. And she's trying to get him to keep his oath. See? So David starts making preparations in order to keep his oath. So he puts Shlomo on his donkey. He has Shlomo anointed and all so forth and so on. He has the high priest do this and the prophets, and he goes through a series of different things. And he's doing this. He's preparing this before his death, just like Abraham is doing everything he's doing before his death. So what we're seeing is, before your death, you're supposed to have things in order. While you're living, you're supposed to teach in order to cause things so you won't have any chaos. You're supposed to be able to examine and make decisions in order to better your family so you won't have any conflict. It's because of what David did that his son Adoniah was, and he would have killed Bathsheba and he would have killed Shlomo, because she said, if you don't do this, they're going to say we're sinners, because everybody knows how David got Bathsheba and how Shlomo came into being. So they're going to kill them. You see, this boy's mother's name, Adoniah, his mother's name is called Kagith. Kagith means festive. So this is the reason why this boy, took it upon himself to be very festive. Hey, I'm going to do this, very jovial. Let's go and have a big feast. And I made myself king. He pronounced himself to be king. Okay. But the point that I want to bring out is that in both of those Torah and Haftarah portions, and I want you to go back and read it later on today. It's about respect and it's about keeping your oath. Okay? Keeping your oath. So the servant was trying to keep his oath to Avraham. David was trying to keep his oath to Bathsheba. You and I are supposed to keep our oath to Yah. And the only way we can do that is through respect. That's the only way you could do it. The respect and the obeisance is that you and I have to understand that there's a certain level that you and I have to go to in order to show the respect that we need to our king, to our master. And we haven't shown it. Yah has shown me this morning and you haven't shown it to me. Like, what? You haven't shown it to me. You have not shown me respect. And I'd be like, why? What are you talking about? I read the Torah, I do this, I do this, I do that, I do that. What respect are you looking for? It's something very simple. It's something that you and I would never even think about. It's something that I'm going to share with you. Okay? Servants of Yahweh, give praise to Yahweh. Give praise to the name of Yahweh. Blessed be the name of Yahweh from this moment on and forever, from sunrise to sunset. Yahweh's name is to be praised. Yahweh is high above the nations, all the nations, his glory above the heavens. Who is like Yahweh, our Elohim, seated in the heights, humbling himself to look on heaven and earth. Again, the Most High is not in heaven. He is looking upon the heavens and upon the earth. And it says he has to humble himself. He has to humble himself to even look at the heavens and to look at the earth. That's how high he is. What I want to show you in here, how and when should you and I praise Yah? According to what we just read.
Whenever possible.
Okay, so here it is. Your answer is from sunrise to sunset. Why did Dawid assign people to sing before the Most High on a regular basis all day and all night? Why? Because he understood this principle about respect. And that's something that Yah is teaching to us today. Okay? Now, you say, I don't have the ability to do this all day. Yes, you do. You do. It's whether or not you and I are willing to do it. Remember, Avad, do you have a desire to do it? So what Yah is trying to show us is that I want to find out if you're willing to do it. I'm going to test your willingness. Just like I tested to find out if Rivqah was going to be compatible with Yitzchak, I want to find out if you're going to be compatible to me. I want to see if you're willing to give me some water, and I want to see whether or not you're willing to go a little bit further than just giving me the water. I want to see how far you're ready to go for me. I asked your father to go up into the mountain and asked him to sacrifice his son. And he did it. But I want to see if you're willing to do something. Are you willing to praise me? Are you willing to give me praise from sunrise to sunset? Because if you're going to do it from sunrise to sunset, that means that you got to be up early in the morning. And that means that I need to become your focus from when this thing comes up. Even prior to it coming up, you need to be prepared. And also, I understand at the end of your day, I'm the first thing in your mind and I'm the last thing on your mind. But I want to find out if you're willing. How would I know? How would Most High know? We found out last week that the Most High knows our thoughts. Even when you and I are talking in our secret chamber, the Most High knows. Praise, yeah, it comes in a lot of forms. You're right, Lucas. Yes. Praise the mighty Yah. Praise is this word called halal. You probably heard of it in some restaurants called halal chicken or halal this or halal. Not to praise the chicken, but halal. And what does halal mean? Well, halal comes from the root of hal, okay? And if we were to write that out, it sounds just like I just said, hal, H-A-L, okay? And if it's halal, it'd be H-A-L-A. excuse me, Halal, halal, okay? But the root of it, the parents of it is called hal, okay? These two letters. But what does it mean? Okay. So what does halal mean? What does praise mean? I'll give you the definition. The first letter is called the letter Hey, right? It's an H in English. So you can see some similarities between this word or that letter and this letter. For your H right here, all you're really doing is just having the same little thing right here and just going to come across here and come down. That's how you make an H in Hebrew, a Hey, like this. Just say one line down, like here, and come across a little bit here, and then come down. That's how you do it. Just like you practice when you're a kid and go, oh, that's the H. Or here, H. See the similarities? Okay. So learning Hebrew is not difficult. It's just a matter of you taking the time and if you're willing to learn how to do this. Okay. So you got an H there or you got an H there. This is the same thing. So when you see this letter, it's a like in hello. Okay. That's how the sound is like the H in that, or I, or ow, or I. Okay. Easy. That's your letter. Easy to do. Okay. So you get your little Hebrew lesson in. See that? Not hard at all. Not intimidating at all. And of course, the name of it is called Hey. Like, hey, raise your hand. Hey, you see somebody? Hey, you're at the store, somebody about to hit your car. Hey, hey, that's mine. Okay, hey, or hey, whatever way you want to make it. That's the name of the letter. Easy. What does it mean? It means to look. Like, hey, check that out. Look at that. Hey, looking up at the stars. This letter right here is called the Lamed. In English, it's an L. It's equivalent to an L. They look a little different, but they do have some of the similarities, right? So this Lamed right here, and here's this, the L, it just looks like they're just one's turned this way and the other one is turned this way. And this one has like a little turn right here. So when you make this one right here, it's easy. You just come down like this, like you're making the number 1. Come over here, make that like a L. Look at that. You made an L and then you come down like this. Just turn it down. That's it. So make a L. Praise Yah. Just make an L. Make it L. Practice making an L and then take a little swoop right here and go like that. That's a Lamed. That's how you make a Hebrew L. That's not hard. Make an L in English and then go like that. And that's a Lamed. You see? So that's easy. Just make a letter L in English and then put a little swoop on the end of it. There you go. Okay. That's not hard, is it? So that's easy. That's the letter L in Hebrew, right? And what's the name? The name is called Lamed. And Lamed, if you notice, every one of the names actually starts with the letter. Okay. So Lamed. And Lamed means a lot of different things, but I'm not going to go into it, right? It has some different understandings, but let's just keep it simple. So the name of it is Lamed, and then it means toward. It means to be in a direction, right? So it means to push something because it is a staff, so it's supposed to move something. It's moving something forward or towards somewhere. So when you use this staff, it pushes something toward somewhere. It's directional, okay? And so there's other uses that they have in your grammar that you can use it for. And so basically, when you put these two letters together, you have what they would call a star, because that's what it means. This is the concrete meaning of the word hal, H-A-L. It means a star. That's not the name of a star. It just means star. And the reason why it is called a star is because you're looking, because that's what that means, to look. And then this means towards something. So you're looking towards something. And what you're looking towards is that which up is in the sky, all the stars. You're looking in awe. You're down here. And this is the letter Hey in his pictograph with your hands raised up, and you're looking at the stars. You're going, wow, look at that. Oh, like, you take a breath, like, oh, wow, hey. Okay. So that's what that letter, those two letters together mean. It means a star. It's because that's what you're doing. You're looking at the stars. Okay. So hal means star. But what else does it mean? What's the action? Well, the action of a star is to shine. Right? So we got a star and the stars are shining. You're looking up at it. You're going, wow. Oh, wow. Look at that. Okay. So essentially, what's going on is when it says for you to praise Yah, you're going, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Or some people may say, hallelujah. Okay. So what we have in our psalm is hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay. Same. A and a lamed. Okay. Coming from halal. So what Yah is asking us is what? I want you to look towards that. I want you, when I talk about bringing praise to me, what I'm asking you to do is to look at my shine. I want you to look at me like you're looking at a star. I want you to be in awe of everything that I've done. I want your life to bring brightness. I want it to be shining. I want the works that you do to be reflective of the stars. That's how you praise me. You praise me by lifting up your hands. You praise me by singing. You praise me by talking. You praise me by doing, like Lucas said, different works. It's the things that you do that bring shine to who I am. This is where your boast is. Your boast is not in your job. Your boast is not in your wife. Your boast is not in your husband. Your boast is in Yah. Hallelujah. I want you to bring shine to me. Why? Because you're showing that you have admiration, and you're showing me that you respect me, because you see with your eyes everything that I have done. My works alone demands praise. This is the reason why Yah has asked us from the sunrise to the sunset, I will be praised. And that's where you and I have been lacking, or been, I would say, diminished in our praise and our respect towards the Most High, because we've never been fully taught on how to praise him. So we don't really understand what that means. Okay. So he's saying that if you're going to have your boast, you got to look towards what I've done. And I want you to remember what I've done. Okay. And then everything that you do, I need that to be reflective of what I've done. So if you're able to do the things that you're doing, I want you to give me praise for it. I don't want you to take delight in a man or a woman in that way. I want you to remember that I'm the one who made the man and the woman. If you love your wife, it's because Yah has made her for you. And there you should praise Yah for her. You could do that. If you love your husband and you're happy and satisfied with him, look at him and say, Yah has made him this way. And I praise Yah for him. If Yah has given you the ability to have wealth, I praise Yah, because it's not that I had the power of my own to do it. It's because Yah has given me the Zahav and the Kasef, which is the silver and the gold, and the Kayil, the ability to be able to have the strength to do what I'm doing. If you're able to walk today, it's because Yah has allowed you to walk. He's allowed you to do that. If your stomach was made full today, it's because of Yahweh. Let your boast and let your exaltation, let your respect and your honor and your shine be given to the Most High Yah. We have to look for truth. This is the idea behind why we are in the way of the Torah. What the servant was looking for was truth. He was looking for truth. He wanted to know for sure whether or not what Yah, who he was true. You got to find truth in every situation, even in a bad situation or a challenging situation. You and I have to look for truth. You got to find the truth in it. He says, he bowed my head. I prostrated before Yahweh, meaning that he came to a prone position again. Okay. That means that he put his body down on the ground. He put his head down on the ground. He wasn't standing up. He wasn't doing that. He was actually down completely. And he blessed Yahweh, the Elohim of my master, for having led me in the way of truth. See, to obtain my master's brothers, I forgot to put a word in there called my brother's daughter, which is Abraham's brother's granddaughter for his son. So now, if you people intend, he's talking to their family now, if you guys intend to show or intend to chesed, meaning to show mercy and kindness and truth to my master, then tell me. But if not, tell me so that I may turn to the right or to the left. Meaning, like, I'm not here to do anything but to look for this. I want to find out if you're fulfilling what Yah wanted for my journey. And that's the question that you and I can ask ourselves today. Is Yah, are you looking for Yah to show mercy into Avraham? Are you looking for that truth? Because if you're looking for the chesed, if you're looking for the loving kindness, then you will recognize that by the Rivqah of your life. You would find the characteristics of this young woman in your life. Then you would know that Yah has shown you chesed, and you know you're on a path of that which is right, because he said he led me in the way of truth. The only way that you and I can know they were in the way of truth is when we line up with these characteristics of Rivqah, because that's what he was looking for. He was looking for kindness. So every time you look at Rivqah, you should see kindness. And then you would know that you're on the way of truth. And you know that Yah has shown mercy. Because if it wasn't for Rivqah, there would never be no Jacob. There would never be any Israel if it wasn't for Rivqah. If she wasn't pushed by Yah's hand to meet this servant so he can have an encounter with Yah, you and I would not be here. So you can see Yah's kindness, can't you? You can see how Yah moved this woman to show us the example of how you and I should be towards him. Because her whole goal now is to fulfill the mission. And only when you and I understand Yah's kindness and his loving kindness and his mercy towards our master, right, towards him and to our Father, then that's when you and I are on the way of truth, which they call a meth. A meth is not, it has its root in the idea of faithfulness, but it also has its root in the idea of, and I'm going to show it to you right quick. I got to clean all this up. A meth comes from the word aman, and you've heard it before called amen. And amen means let it be true. Okay, like after you finish praying, you say let amen. Let the people say amen. Okay, so amen means truth, or let it be true. A meth is the same thing. It comes from this family of letters right here. The family that it comes from is called Min. Mem and a Nun. These two letters. The reason why this one's long is because it's a final, meaning it's the last letter on a word, but this is what it really looks like. It's called a Nun. Okay, so one has to do with water, which is the Mem. This word right here, this letter called Mem. Name of it is called Mem. Has to do with water. Okay, and the water, you say, well, this has to do with truth. This has to do, where are you finding truth in water? So water, and then this one here is a seed. Okay, and this one is called, and this one looks like ancient Hebrew. It's a seed, looks like a sprout. Okay, and it's a seed. And that one is called a Nun, N-U-N. Okay, so we got a Mem and we got a Nun. So when you put them together, you add these two letters together, like a father and a mother, you come up with this idea called men. Okay, not like men, like me and you, but you could kind of look at it that way. What it means is, and the Nun, the seed, has to continue. So a seed allows growth and it allows things to continue. So like when a man has sexual intercourse with a woman, he puts his seed inside of her in order to continue the next generation. Okay. The mem can also not only be water, but it can also be blood. So the mem is any type of fluid, right? So blood is it too. So the root of this word is like the continuation of blood. Okay. So one generation continues the next generation by its blood type. Okay. You get your blood type from your species of what type of species you are. So if you're an eagle, you go and you have relations with another eagle, and then you'll have another eagle. Okay. So for human beings, we're a different type of species. So our species is, if you and I have sexual intercourse with that of our own kind, then our species will continue through the blood. Okay. So what he was really saying is, I'm looking for a species. I'm looking for a kind of person. I'm looking for a blood type. When you say, go to my family, I'm looking for a certain type. And that's where the truth is found. The truth is found in the blood type of the species. It's the kind of person that you are. That's where the truth is found, who you really are. Okay. It's going to be through your blood. That's what it's going to be. Okay. And so our word truth comes from this word aman, but also too, your word that you get for faith comes from called imunah, same thing, or amen, or man, or even the very thing that you and I, our ancestors, you and I didn't get a chance to eat it, is called manna. That comes from there too. Because Myrna asked, well, what is it? What type of food is this? Okay. So what he's saying is, I'm looking for this kindness, and I found it. I found it in Rivqah, but the fact of the matter is, I still got to be able to get the acceptance of the offer. And so that's what he's looking for. Remember, to find out if she's willing. And of course, at the end of the conversation, he says, tell me right now, let's ask the girl. And the girl said, yeah, I want to go. So then the deal was done. But it was based upon the kindness that the Most High shown to his servant, Avraham, through this truth. And the truth is found in the blood type. And it's not just the type from the blood, but it's also too who the person truly is. And that's where we go find our truth. We found our truth today in Rivqah, who she really is and what is her character. And you and I should use that as our, parameter to how we should live our lives. Okay. It says, from this you can know that Yahweh your Elohim is indeed Elohim. By what? This conversation right here in Devarim 7 and 9 is talking about after Yah has delivered Israel out of their bondage, and he did something for them. He's saying, from this you can know that Yahweh is Elohim. So again, I put this here because the only way that you can know something and not just believe it, Yah's not asking you to believe anything. He's actually saying, I want to show it to you. The only way that you can know something is when Yah shows you something. Okay. So I'm going to show you, like I showed you when I brought them out of Mizraim, I'm going to show you. He said, then you can know that he is indeed Elohim. He is the Elohim. He is the power. Okay. I am Elohim. I am Elohim. I am the power. I am the power. I'm the faithful Elohim, who keeps covenant. Means I guard what I made a covenant with, and I'm going to extend chesed. So everything that you and I have been talking about. So chesed is kindnesses. I'm going to extend kindness, and I'm also going to do faithfulness to those who what? Who love me, who love him. If you don't love Yah, then you're not going to get this kindness. To love Yah, to havta Yah, with all your mind, all your soul, and all your being. This is what the love is. If you're not giving all this to Yah, then he says that you don't love me. You don't love Yah if you don't do what he commands. He says those who love him and guard and do, they observe his commandments. And how long do they do that? To 1,000 generations. Okay. But he repays those who hate him. to their face and he destroys them. So the ones who love him are the ones who, what? He's going to show kindness. He's going to show like that Rivqah to those who love him. He's going to be faithful. So just like Rivqah was there and getting that water, long suffering, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and she was caring and she was attentive and all this. Yah is saying that I'm going to show you that to those who love me and who are going to do my commandments to 1,000 generations. Right? But I'm going to repay those who hate him to their face and destroys them. He will not be slow to deal with someone who hates him. This idea of being slow right here, it means that he's not going to leave behind. I'm not going to leave behind anyone who hates me. I'm not going to let them remain behind. That's what he's talking about. Okay. In the Hebrew, it says akare, meaning I'm not going to let anybody remain behind who hates me. I'm going to finish them off. So when I come to war and I come to destroy, I'm only coming, I'm not going to leave anybody, I'm not leaving a remnant of people who hate me behind. I'm actually going to pay that person straight to their face. Okay. Therefore, you are to keep my commandments and the rulings which I'm giving you today and obey them. Okay. So we can see that the Most High is concerned about us having this character to show chesed. Chesed to the Most High. I see your hand up, Claudia. Claudia? That's okay. All right, so here. Last week we talked about your first 5 letters, which is the Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Now today I want to go over this next 5 letters, which is called the Wa, the Zion, the Ket, the Tet, and the Yod, real quickly. All right, so in the Hebrew, they have this Hebrew word called a Wa. Okay, Wa, and it looks like that. Okay, got Vav, that's a European. Wa is your Afro-Asiatic. This is what you and the Arabics and everyone else use. This is what the Europeans and the Germans and all them, that's what they use. They use that sound. So you might hear a Vav and you might hear a Wa, but it's really supposed to be a Wa. Okay. What is it? It is a picture of a tent peg. That's the reason why it looks like this, because it's like a tent peg. Okay. They were used and they were made of wood and they have been Y-shaped. So some of them look like this. Okay. And they were to prevent a rope from slipping off. So they're the ones that are using for something to be a hook or a connection. So this is the reason why this letter is shaped the way that it is. And so your shapes of your letters have something to do with the culture, right? And how they were being used. So I got a couple of pictures right there kind of showing you what it does. A tent peg is supposed to be something to bring stability, secure, to secure something. In grammar, it means and is used as a connection, right? As a connection. So when you see that, it means a connection. There's over 50,000 of these used in the Hebrew language. Okay, so Yah is using these letters, this in particular letter, to make a connection for all of his sentences to be together by using this in particular letter. It's used over 50,000 times. Okay, so it has to do with the idea of connection. And as you continue on, you'll see like, oh, okay, it's always going to be connected to something. Okay. So that's what it looks like. There's 2 different, you can have different styles, different ways it is written. You can have it like this, to make it just make a line right here and just come down. Or sometimes it might have a little squiggly and come down, just depends on how you're writing. It might even look like this. It might just look like this, block like that. It might be rounded like this, like you see the roundness over here. It might have that. It might not. It might just be straight down. Right? So when you look at that, it just means the same thing. It means and. There's a connection. Okay, the next letter is called Zion, but it has its root called Azan. Okay, like Azania. The ancient pictograph of this letter is some type of agricultural implement. It's used to modic or to plow. So when you see this letter, which I'm going to show you what it looks like here in just a moment, it actually has to do with agriculture. It says agriculture, and that's the reason why it's used to plow. So when you got to plow up the ground, anytime you see or hear this Z sound, right, it's going to have something to do with harvest or cutting a crop, or, you know, it's used for harvesting, for food, or harvest, or to cut, you know, has a function of an implement. It's broad, right, and from its shape. Okay, and so they're going to show us what it looks like. So literally, the letter looks like this. Okay, and I'm going to show it to you. So in Hebrew, it'd be like this. All they did was they took it from the ground like that, attached to a an oxen right here that you see, and they just flipped it where now it's straight up like this. Okay, but it would cut through the dirt or the ground in order to plow. So after you finish plowing, then you'll be able to do your crops, and you'll be able to do your harvest, you know, do your harvesting after you plant your crops. And then when you do your harvesting, you're cutting something. And so this object right here is what's cutting through the ground. Okay. And it's an agricultural implement. So anytime you hear this word, or you hear the sound of a Zion, which makes a Z sound, like for zoo. Okay. So the letter in English is a Z. It's like zoo. Okay. Or zip. Okay. So you just know what the name is. Okay. And it can look like that. It can look like, you know, this, and you can have all different looks, but you can still see the implement right here. You can still see it. That's what's used to cut through the dirt. Okay. Matter of fact, one of the words that they have in Hebrew for zahav is gold. Somebody tell me, why is the word called for, why is zahav called gold? Why would they call it gold? Think about the crops. Can you hear me? Zahav. That's called gold. The reason why it's called gold is because this first letter right here tells you it's about a crop. When you look at your crops, they are the color of gold, like the wheat, the barley. And this is how you know that's so they're associating the color of the wheat and the barley with this in particular color of the metal. It's called zahav. Zahav. Okay, gold. So that's how they use these letters agriculturally. And that's what it looks like. So when you see that, it looks like a little T, you know? And this letter ket right here is one that has to do with the tent wall. Okay, like the people that we talked about in our Torah portion is called, they're called the Keti. Okay, this was the letter that has to do with ket. All right, and it means a wall. Okay, and it means outside, because that's how it functions. The walls are used to protect the occupants from the elements. Half the wall, half as the wall is in the middle of the tent, right? Half as a wall in the middle of the tent. So when you had a tent, inside that tent, they would usually have a wall, and it made a separation between this area and this area. Okay, so the women and children would literally stay in this part of the tent, and then the men, or the, you know, depending on how old they were, would stand in the other part of the tent. Okay, and so there was a separation. So that's what you get this idea from, because the males and female sections, they had their own separations between their tents. Just like you have in your house, you should have for your sons and your daughters, they should be separate. There should be different sections for the females and different sections for the males. Just like when you go to different synagogues and different congregations, you'll notice that they separate the men from the women and the children. And so they got that idea from this agricultural understanding of how they lived their lives. This is something that they did. So a ket is about separation. And so I've got a little picture here where you can see inside of a tent, they will put up a wall. of separation, a wall for protection and division and for separation. That's where your word or your letter ket comes from. And this is what it looks like. So you'll see it in a cursive way, and then you'll see it in a very block way. It could be straight like this. Okay, the difference between this letter and the hey is the hey is not connected. There's a space right here. So they look alike, but they're different. So this one's connected, and this one's not. This is a hey right here. And so the hey and the ket, they look alike, but they're not the same. And they have two different sounds. Okay. This sound right here is a CH sound, like in the word bach. Bach. Okay. Or yeah, bach. Okay. Or lach. You got the bach. Bach. Okay. And of course, you just have to memorize that and familiarize yourself with that. This one is called a thet. Okay. In English, they call it a tet, T-E-T. Okay. And it is used as a container, which made of wicker or clay, going back to the agricultural understanding of how they looked at these letters. They're connected to things. And so these containers were very important for the nomadic Hebrews. They were used for storing items of grains and other items. Wicker baskets were used for nets as catching fish. You can see a lot of that. And meanings of this letter are basket and a container, because they store things, right? And it's made of clay. When you talk about the way that is written, sometimes you'll see it like that, right? So they got that idea from the idea of a basket. Because when you would put the basket inside or put something inside the basket, right? So this is a block way that they write it, but it's still something to idea of a basket or something that contains something or something that goes around something, okay? So it's a container. And that's what the letter tet means, is to contain. Here again is a basket that they will hold their fish in, and that's how they would carry their fish from one place to the next, as a container in a basket. And this is what it looks like. So those are some different ways that it's written. And all these are just different ways of handwriting styles. Okay. And then of course, sometimes, like I said, you'll see one like that. That's the block one. It's exactly the same letter, just written differently. Okay. But you can see the idea of something being contained inside of here. And this is the reason why they came with the idea of a basket, because it looks like a basket. You just put something in it, you know, your fish or whatever, right? So that's where you get that tet from. Tet. Okay. And finally, your last letter for today is called a yod. This letter here is very popular in the early Semitic. Okay. And pictograph, this letter is an arm and a hand. Okay. So what it looked like when they used to write it in Hebrew, it'll look like this. This will be your elbow right here. This is your forearm, and this right here is your arm right here, right? And this right here would be your hand right here. These two, this part right here, that's your hand. Okay. I think I should have made the hand that big, like that. Okay. So that's your hand. That's your elbow right here. Right. And so the meaning of this letter is work, because that's what you do with your hand. Your hand is used to do work and is used to throw things. And that's the function. So everything that we're talking about with these letters, it has to do with function, how things are working and how you're using something. Okay. So the modern Hebrew name is Yud. Okay. That's from modern Hebrew, but it's really called a Yod. Okay. It's derivative. It is a derivative of the two-letter word for Yod, meaning a hand. The original name for the letter. Okay. So that's what a Yod is. You can call it a Yud if you're doing modern Hebrew, but if you do biblical Hebrew, it's just regular a Yod. Okay. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. Actually, I don't have to show you what it looks like. You already have one. Just put it up right in front of your face. That's your hand. Okay. So when we talk about anytime from a grammatical standpoint, when you see this letter, Yod, this here means a hand. Okay. It means to work. It means to throw. It also can mean grammatically he, because that's who it belongs to. It belongs to him, his hand. Okay. It's his hand. Okay. So that's what a yad is. Okay. A hand. That's what they look like. Finally, last but least, let's have some fun. Kaye Sarah. Let's see what you guys remember. All right, players. Want to continue your learning? Please join us. 594-2414. Lucas, I like that new look. Koala bear. Oh, a Coty Pam's in the house. I know she's gonna put them famous glasses on. She ain't staying with the hearts over the penguin. That's not her look. Oh, there he is. Dr. Yored. Dr. Kavika's in the house. Oh, Samia. Yes. Let's go. Just get in here. Kids in here. Come on, Cal. There's Cal. He's in the house. Where's Kent? Where you at, Kent? Come on, Q, join. Oh, you got some nerve, Ken. You gonna be a pumpkin with some glasses on? Yeah, what a look. Oh boy. Anybody else who want to join in? There is Samia, Pam, Rebeeca, Ken, Kale, Lucas. All right, you guys. I'm gonna give them about another 30 seconds. We'll go ahead and get started. Remember, this is all in fun, but it's helped you to get through the rest of your week. There's Kent. He's in the house. You got to change that evil picture. The tiger with the crown. He's going to change the ice cream. I know he is. Ken, you better change. I don't like that, Ken. You know, now you're being funny. You go put a ghost up there. Oh, I know what you're working with. Okay, here we go. Quick fingers. Let's hit it. Kaye Surah. What does Kaye Surah mean in English? Believe in Sarah. That's crazy. Believe in Sarah. Uh-oh, fast fingers. You see who has the fast fingers today. You can see who's fast, whose fingers are fast, how are they dedicated. You got to type your answer. How old was Sarah when she died?
Fast hooves.
Boy, that's a receding hairline right there. You don't want that look. But maybe it's coming. Remember, it's not the outside that counts, it's what's in that big old head right there. Oh, forgive me. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Pancakes is on. 1845. Let's get it. The sisters are moving fast today. Name the cave that Abraham bought for a burial plot. Okay, Morah, okay, Batrahin. Macpela.
When you have those multiple choice results there, David, there's an extra button that appears underneath your next that shows you the ability to review the results if you want to actually see those.
See. 10 has the highest answer streak of 3 in a row. The sisters are on top. Kaye Sarai, her daughters are moving quickly today. Quiz, in which book of the Tanakh can we find this week's Haftarah? I told you about putting up personal pictures of your boyfriend up. Hey,
It's AI.
Rivqah is killing the game. Ken, right behind her. Let's go. Which one of David's sons proclaimed himself king in the Haftarah? That's a nice picture because this dude looks like he's worried. He should be. He's tripping.
Horrible.
Yeah, spell check corrected a name I put, but oh well. Sorry. Salaki.
Uh-oh. Sister Pam is right behind Kawika. Multiple select. You can choose several things. What was the name of Adonijah's mother? I gave you guys that. Bagit. Anna. Rivqah. Take it. Game has changed. 7 and 12. Name Rivqah's grandparents. This girl's gonna put up the names of her grandparents up here. This is crazy. Let's go. Name Rivqah's father and brother. Quick. Ooh, them fingers was going. Ooh, look at Samia coming out of the cuts. Abraham's servant spent 10 days with Rivqah's family before leaving her. True or false? Oh, look at you! Quick fingers. Who did Abraham marry after Sarah's death? Mary Smokey. Let's see. 11 and 12. Let's go. How did Abraham pay for his burial plot? How much? Boy, you see them fingers going? Somebody's on their tour. Woo! Oh my goodness, it's tight. Just 12 of 12. How did Abraham's servant reward Rivqah's actions? Gave her 10 camels, gave her 2 goats, braids, nose ring, gave her 50 shekels. Oh boy. Who's the winner? Third place today, Samia! You're in! Oh! Runners up, Ken and Lucas. Good job, everybody. Wow. This is good.
I have one question for you, which you covered, but I'm still curious.
Yes.
On chapter 23, verse 20, I'm sorry, verse 6. How did the it says when they refer to, so you are prince of Yah among us. So how did they know? Is it because of Abraham's I'm sorry, because of his character?
Well, several things. They knew he was a prince because remember he defeated um 4 kings. He defeated 4 kings. And they saw all the things that he was doing. Every time he moved from one location to the next, he just kept increasing in his wealth. And they didn't know Yahweh. They didn't know him. They understood that that was the God that he was serving. So they saw all the wealth that he was having, right? Because he was full of silver and gold. And all that happened was because of what kept happening to Sarai. Because of her life, his life was enriched. And so they had a great deal of respect for him. And that's why they were so willing to give to him, because they recognized that surely this man, he couldn't be this wealthy, without him serving his God. Like he's just, he's honorable. And also too, we know that his life was full of hospitality and his tents were always available to share with people about his God. So they have heard about his Elohim. They didn't serve him, but they heard about him. And in the way that he treated them and the way that he conducted his life with them, you can see by him, every time he made a business decision or deal with them, he would bow down and show respect into them and to their elders. So he was well known among the Imri, the Ka'anini, and all of them. But one of the things that I failed to mention today was the reason why he didn't take daughters also as well. And the reason why he paid for his lot of his field in the cave was because if he would have just taken it from them and he didn't pay for it, then that would have opened him up to having to take one of their daughters as well. Because look, we just gave you a cave, we gave you a field, we gave you a burial price. You were good enough we were good enough to take it from there. But now our daughters, you're not taking anything from our daughter. You're not going to take our daughters to your sons, to your son, or even your other sons. So that would have been some type of problem. But yes, they recognized his character, but also too that he had a name, he had a reputation among them because of the way that he lived his life, and also to the other nations that he destroyed. So the Yah was with him all the time. There's the answer for this one. What was the name of Adonijah's mother? On this one right here, some people mark partially correct answers. In English, her name is Hagith, but in Hebrew, her name is Kagith. So if you mark Hagith, I would say you didn't get it wrong. But in English, it is Hagith, and that means to celebrate. So we see there that, he was from a family of a mother who was, she was on that celebration stuff. So this is the reason why he felt so moved to do what he was doing. Because usually the boys followed their moms. All right. Any other questions that you guys may have? All right. Other than that, I say Shabbat Shalom to you.